Question here will come from Jeff Ferrato of Cal Sports Report.
All right, Jeff.
Good to see you, Geep. How you doing?
Great, thank you.
Well, welcome aboard. Just curious, you coached the NFL, I believe, for 25 straight years. You've taken a couple years off from it. What's the transition been like back to college? I don't think you coached in college since like 1990. That was a couple lifetimes ago. What's this been like, and how is it different?
Well, fortunately, not only had my dad been a long-time college coach, with my brother Paul coaching at Wisconsin, I don't feel like I've missed a beat. And then having two sons that have played, one at Stanford with his fifth year at Tennessee, and then my younger son Jackson up at Oregon State. Trust me, I'm a college football fan.
But is coaching it, in what ways is it different than coaching the pro?
It used to be that you felt like a lot of scheme, for example, maybe started in the NFL and then trickled down to college. I think, we're seeing some scheme from the college game bubble up, whether it's RPOs, even when we were in San Francisco, we ran a lot of pistol stuff, some of the zone read. So I think there's been probably a bridge that people have been crossing back and forth, both scheme wise and coaching wise.
And what about just dealing with guys this age versus fully grown men?
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of gray. I thought I saw a gray hair or two on Tonjes, but he informs me that is only from stress. That has nothing to do with his age. But yeah, they're great kids. And, starting off with Colin Moore. I mean, here's a kid with a 4.0 GPA, so you're not going to find anyone smarter than him. So communication has not been a problem. But yeah, some of these guys just haven't had their driver's license all that long.
I wanted to ask you also, if I could, about local guy Jermaine Terry is a freshman. He's one of 7 tight ends you got, I know. So, and he's probably been at 4 college football practices so far. But what are your impressions so far? What have you seen? What have you seen on tape?
Well, first off, I feel my heart goes out to all these seniors, not just in the Bay Area, that didn't have a senior football season. So that's probably the one thing. He wanted to be a mid-year enrollee, so he's hitting the ground running. But I feel bad for those kids not experiencing their senior year. But he's got a lot of effort and hustle. He does weigh 268 pounds, so that's a big youngster. And I'm really proud of the way the veteran guys have taken him under the wing, because you're learning stuff every day. And so we expect that he'll make some mistakes as he goes. But the fact that we're out there on a beautiful sunny day and practicing, that's exactly what JT needs.
Is he at all overwhelmed at times with all the new stuff you're
installing? We see a lot of tight ends play both the on the line position and the off the line position. We're just right now just concentrating with JT on the line of scrimmage as a true Y. And that way he can at least sink his teeth into one area of responsibility. All the other guys, they're learning from on the line, off the line, even in the backfield.
And when you watch him, what particular assets does he have that impress you?
For that weight, he does move well. We joke he's got heavy hands, which means when he does punch you, he's got a little gunpowder behind the punch. And I think that he's got a joy about playing right now. So he's young and enthusiastic, and that goes a long way in spring ball too.
Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Okay, we'll go to Jim McGill from Bear Insider.
Hey, Jeep, welcome to Cal.
Hey, Jim, thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, your last college game appears to be against Cal and Mike Pulaski, the college. Remember about that
Very
game.
nice, the Copper Bowl.
Yeah.
I remember Paul Roach wanted to go for it on 4th down. He said, I've been coaching for all these years. We didn't make it. And he said, I was right all these years and wrong today. So I do remember the Copper Bowl. We were fortunate. Unlike Cal, we were coming from Wyoming where we had like minus 10-degree weather. So we thought Tucson was fantastic.
Do you have you had a chance to talk to the new or to the color announcer for Cal, Mike Pulaski, who was the quarterback for Cal?
No, but I can't wait to bring him up. And then he's been doing some Bay Area work. He actually did some Bay Area work with when my son Keller was playing in high school. So Mike's done a nice job transitioning into being a color analyst. So I got more than enough things to talk about with him.
Sure. So can you talk about your analytics business the last 2 years after coaching in the NFL, and how you think that uniquely prepares you for your new role at Cal?
Well, that's become a buzzword, hasn't it? And that I think every coach wants to trust their gut instinct. And then we joke there'll be guys that will be hired, especially on an NFL staff, or a crew of guys that will say, we can leverage the game differently. More often than not, most fans now recognize, especially in the NFL, that teams are going for it more, maybe inside the plus 50, knowing that, you're trying to extend that possession. And so the analytics that I was involved in, we're trying to maybe take a deep dive there's a lot of ways that you can measure analytics. Sometimes some people will say expected points. If you are here, almost like baseball analytics, if you're here, we expect to score this many points, 2nd and 4 on the +40. The other way to say it is win probability. Sometimes when you're watching an NFL game, they'll have an Amazon thing that said the Atlanta Falcons win probability is now 99%. It seems like both of those are nice, but from a veteran coach's perspective, you kind of want to have the mix between the two so that they can trust their hunches. Like, I really want to go for it. You saw that with Belichick in the Super Bowls. If you have a Brady on your side, or you're going against someone like Russell Wilson, how does that affect it from game to game? So a lot of fun with numbers, but it's still a game played between the field with good football players.
And in part of your capacity with your new business, did you deal with young players who are prepping for the NFL draft, or was that not part of your?
Not as much as really just leveraging the game status and game situation is probably what we spent most of our time doing.
Got it. Do you have any sense of how the offense is being implemented in a larger scale this spring, or are you a little too new to know that? Because I know they held back a lot this last year with the limited practice time.
Yeah, Jim, that's an excellent question, because this system is built not just for one tight ends, but 2 tight ends to be contributors. And you see the trend in some colleges that are going to 10 personnel, like USC's having a lot of 4 wide receivers on the field. But with a second year in the offense, I think for the quarterbacks predominantly, but all the players offensively, I think you can get deeper into the playbook. You can make adjustments or corrections to it that maybe take advantage of some of the individual skills that you have on your roster.
Having coached with Coach Musgrave before, are there a lot of similarities to what he did in the NFL, or really tailored to more what Cal's personnel has to offer?
You know what? I love Billy, and he is running an NFL offense, which is great for all these guys. And he's not watering it down. He's challenging them right now in the spring to learn these concepts and to execute at a high level. And we had a fun practice today, and I thought I saw some real steps. And that's really what you're looking for in spring ball and fall camp, to take steps to know what you can trust on game day.
Great, thanks.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go back to Trace Travers from Rivals.
Yeah, good afternoon, Coach.
Hey, Trace.
Welcome back to the Bay Area.
Thank you.
One thing, you obviously have had 2 sons who are playing or have played in the Pac-12, and you have to get back into the recruiting game now as an assistant. How has that been in the early going since you've been here in the last, I guess, week?
Yeah, for a week, I appreciate all the support staff that's been helping me, getting me ramped up. But I think being a parent of one, Keller, my older son, was a national recruit, offered early by a number of teams. And then my youngest son, Jackson, was more at the other end of the spectrum, was lightly recruited. And I think that's been a great bookend for me to understand maybe where these guys that we're recruiting are. There's sometimes diamonds in the rough. Take Jake Tongas. He was really lightly recruited, walked down here to Cal. He's a phenomenal player, one that I have high expectations for. So the recruiting game is its own world. There's no doubt about it. We love tracking the recruiting and trying to assign value to these kids, but ultimately they have to get on campus, get on a college field, and make plays.
And with that, what do you think of your room so far? You've mentioned Tonjas, Moore, JT so far. How have the rest of those guys looked?
What you're trying to find is a role for all 7. Again, the younger guys know that their role might not eventually come till maybe a year or 2 down the road, but we want to give them a sense of immediacy. We've been using 2 groups to practice. We're calling the blue and the gold, and that gets everyone reps. That's what we want to have in the fall, is reps, so we can define those roles.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have a final question? If it looks like Jackson Moore from 24/7. Go ahead, Jackson.
Yes, very nice to meet you. Thank you for
Hey,
your
Jackson.
time. Going back to the recruiting a little bit, you mentioned some of your perspective on how you're approaching it. How would you say that maybe your style of connecting with some of the young kids and what you try to get across on some of these phone calls that you'll be participating in?
There's 2 things you're looking for. From a player's perspective, you're simply looking for a fit. This is a good fit for me. If I think I'm a talented tight end, I'm not going to go to a program that really doesn't use the tight end as maybe a blocker or a receiver. So I think you wanted to define what your system is and then try to find those players that fit that system. And the second thing that you want to find with recruits, no one's a finished product when they step on board. So do you have those attributes that you can work with to develop the position. And that's definitely true with the tight ends.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jackson.
Okay, anybody else with the final question? Give you a couple more seconds here and we'll let Jeep move on.
All right. Thanks, fellas.
Thank you very much,
Coach.
Jeep.